Hello. Okay, give me a second. Let me click. You know from class, I can't do math and speak, so I can't click and speak either. What are we doing? We're looking at the solving. There we go. All righty. So just some really basic solving things. This looks weird. This is real similar to what you did in Unit 1 with just the introduction to the unit circle stuff. So you can see my equation. So sometimes you're asked to find two different parts, part A and B. Part A is just solutions in one unit circle, one revolution. And then part B is all the coterminal solutions. That's the distinction between the two there. So cosine plus 1 equals 0. A little bit of algebra. Cosine theta equals -1. What's the angle that has that value for cosine? So just think about your unit circle, the relationship cosine has with the coordinates. Cosine goes with the x value on the unit circle. So which of the x-axes is going to get a -1? The negative x-axis, which is pi. And the part B answer is just a coterminal. The n just represents how many times you go around that unit circle, forwards, backwards, like that. All right, next example. Cosecant theta, square root of 2. And I'm using sine. So I don't know off the top of my head, cosecant square root of 2, what's that angle? But I flip over sine, that's square root of 2. So, or I flip over, cosecant is 1 over sine equals square root of 2. So sine equals, flip over the number right there. Now you may or may not recognize 1 over square root of 2. If you do, good. If you don't, then you'll need to rationalize. So before, when the number was the answer, I said, don't worry about it. But now the angle is the answer, and you need to be able to manipulate that number so that you can see on the far right over here, you'll probably recognize square root of 2 over 2 after you've rationalized. And I show you the steps right there. So it's a positive number, so quadrant 2 and quadrant 1 and quadrant 2, gosh darn it, you can't see in my handwriting there, there's an invisible 1. It's like the silent letters when you have words. I wrote an invisible 1. So quadrant 1 and 2, because that number is positive, it's the number in the middle, so sine gets the angle in the middle, pi over 4, 3 pi over 4. And again, the part B answer, plus 2 n pi for both of them. Easy peasy. And another example, a little bit different setup. The goal for any of the solving is to do a little some algebra manipulation, maybe an identity in the future, and you're going to end with trig function equals a number. And then you go right back to the unit circle and you figure out that stuff. So subtract the square root of 3, divide by the 2. What's that angle? So square root of 3 over 2 is the large number, which for cosine, we'll be using the small angle. So my reference angle, remember alpha is what we use to represent the reference angle, pi over 6. That number is negative. So for cosine, it's going to be negative in quadrant 2 and 3. And so our answer's 5 pi over 6, 7 pi over 6. And where's my scroll bar? This is a different screen for this. I don't know what it looks. That's the end of, okay. I'm together now. 2 sine squared theta equals 1. Divide by the 2, apply the square root. Remember, you have to do the plus or minus whenever you solve for that square. If you don't, then you just don't want all the points. So again, square root 1 over 2, you may or may not recognize it. So I go through the rationalized process. Oh, I know what that is. All righty, so it's plus or minus. That means all 4 quadrants are going to have an answer. This is a number in the middle, so angle in the middle, and you can see my answers there. I didn't specify part A and B, but sometimes the part B, all the solutions, all the coterminal solutions, it'll get simplified sometimes. I don't really care if I ask you a quiz or a test if you simplify it, but the lab manual sometimes. So you can see pi over 4 And 5 pi over 4, that's quadrant 1 and 3, they're separated by pi. So if I just go pi over 4 plus n pi, then I've got pi over 4, 5 pi over 4, all the coterminals. And similarly, 3 pi over 4 is in quadrant 2, 7 pi over 4 is in quadrant 4. They're separated by pi. So this answer for part B, all solutions, is just a simplified version. And again, you might see that in the lab manual. That is the end of this video. We'll look at factoring in a separate video.